Welcome to ChoreoCollab Podcast, where we discuss dance, film, collaboration, and more. Brought to you by Central Florida Choreographers Collaboration. I'm your host, Amanda Van Meter Birch. Today, I'll be talking with Kaylee Davis and Kelsey Keil-Fuchs about their collaboration with us for Season 3, Project 24, With Her, I Am Home. Hi, Kaylee and Kelsey. How are you?
Hi, doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm really glad to have you guys on and talk a little bit more about your project so that our listeners can kind of get a feel for what it's about and a little more information about you guys as artists. So I would really like to know how you guys got started in the dance world.
Okay, so I will start. I got started in the dance world. Well, I started dancing when I was 3. My mom put me in lessons in a local dance studio. And then I just stuck with it and then decided that I would continue my studies and go to school and yeah.
Okay.
That's what started it all, and now I'm just pursuing dance.
I love it. Okay.
So this is going to sound really familiar. My mom put me in class when I was 4 at a local dance studio.
Gotta love our moms.
Yeah. And it was very clear from that age that I was hooked, and I certainly was, because I continued through elementary, middle, high school. By the time I was in high school, I knew that's what I was going to study in college, so I continued at the university. And then from there, went into the professional world and traveled internationally for dance and choreography and performance. And yeah, so it's like my whole memory is dance, and it's a big part of my identity.
I can totally relate to that. So tell us a little bit about your project.
So there is a story behind it. And the story goes, we were invited to an ecstatic. So Kaylee and I met through ecstatic dance. So we went to an ecstatic dance together. It happened to be in Crystal Beach. And after the ecstatic dance, Kaylee and I, as well as our friend Larissa, who we know through ecstatic dance, the three of us decided to go to Live Oak Park or Crystal Beach to hang out, talk, catch up. We see this beautiful tree, and we get this idea to just like improvise and dance with it. And Kaylee was even like, oh gosh, I should get this recorded. So she sets up her phone and records the three of us doing an improv with this beautiful tree at night. I mean, it was stark night after this ecstatic dance, pretty late at night, probably too. It was probably like 11 o'clock at night or something. And Kaylee posted it on social media, and I remember it getting a lot more attention than I thought it would.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then I guess when Kaylee decided she wanted to do this collaboration together, we both come up with this memory, like, you remember when we did that improv with this tree and we recorded it? And what if we like continue that and actually make something with that? So that's when we knew our project was going to happen outside, and it was going to have something to do with dancing with a tree. And lo and behold, the location came about of the film, because that's exactly the tree and the location that we did the improv. So the location came up pretty quickly from the very beginning, just based on that improv that we did. And then I'm sure Kaylee can. So that's the story of how the location, inspiration, all that happened. But then as far as getting deeper into the project, Kaylee can probably talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can say like that tree improv we did, like it felt so like impactful for me. Like I just want to be dancing with nature and trees all of the time. And I was like dreaming of recreating that. So just to add on to what Kelsey was saying, as we were in the process, we kind of just realized like how important our connection with nature is, and we really wanted to showcase that and show the beauty of nature and the diversity of nature, and um, just connect with it deeper, and yeah, just show all the details and the beauty of it and appreciate it and love it in the ways that we do.
I think it definitely came across in your film. So I'm curious. I haven't seen this film, this Night Tree improv film. So which tree was it? Because there were a few focused in the film.
So that's the tree that we nicknamed. So we actually ended up giving the trees names so that when we were doing the when we were writing up the score and everything, we knew what the locations were for different things. Cause like, okay, these are all trees. How can we differentiate between this tree, that tree? So we gave them nicknames. The tree that we did the night improv was chime tree, which, as you can imagine, that was the tree that we set the that the chime hung from. So chime tree is where the night improv happened that inspired.
That was a cool tree.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. That was a really awesome tree. So you guys created your own sound score. What inspired you to do that?
Probably, I think, did I like emphasize that or like what brought that up as far as making our music?
Yeah, so Kelsey just came to one of our rehearsals one day and was sharing that she was playing around with her tongue drum, and she had come up with this cute little song, and that was the start of it. We wanted to dance to that. And then I just remember standing like in the little parking lot area of the park, and we just started like singing together, like, and then we decided we wanted to add a beat to it, so we added a drum to it, and then I had this little piece of music that came to me, little lyrics, and then we just decided to create a song. And yeah.
So essentially, my drive to drum, because I do drum in my free time. That's another one of my loves, whether it's my djembe or my tongue drum. So I was coming up with the percussion. And then when Kaylee showed up to rehearsal one day, like, yeah, so I kind of wrote this song in my car, and I'm like, can I hear it? And she shares it with me, and I'm just like, done. We have a song. We have the we have the percussion, we have the vocals. We started adding on top of that. Next thing you know, it's like, okay, like we now have the music for this piece. I don't think we ever expected it to grow to that extent. Yeah. But that's what happened. We wrote music together.
Yeah.
Well, it was really an amazing piece, like the sound score. And I think that's what I like about it, is that not only is the nature, so to speak, no pun intended, of the project organic, but so was the sound score, so was the collaboration. Everything about it had this really organic feel. One of my favorite things about it. Why was this theme important to you personally?
So what Kaylee was talking about as far as our relationship with nature, our interaction with nature, because essentially when we knew we were going to be at that location, we were going to dance with a tree, we're like, okay, but what does this all mean? Like, what are we trying to portray and convey by doing this in the film? And essentially it's how we interact with nature, what is our relationship with nature, and that's essentially what we were doing in the film, is interacting with nature. So the hope is everyone can have the opportunity to sit with themselves and discover what is their relationship to nature. Is it lacking? Is it very much present in their life? How does that affect their life if their relationship with nature is lacking? Do they feel like they could have a better relationship with nature? Because I know for me it's very important. I know that if days pass where I didn't go on a hike, or I didn't go camping, or I didn't just at least go to the beach and sit there for a while, listen to the sounds, smell the breeze, watch the birds. If I don't do that, then I just feel like I'm not living.
Yeah, I think it's really easy in our modern day lives to be disconnected with nature and look at it as kind of like a separate thing. And yeah, I feel like with our film, it really was just like connecting back with nature and realizing like our similarities and just showcasing just like the richness of nature. Like some of my favorite parts of the film is when our hands are like in the dirt, in the mud, and like the real like wildness to nature, and just yes, the connection is my favorite part.
Not to mention the connection between ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
Early on in the process as well, we were talking about sisterhood. And with nature being Mother Nature, this feminine mother, so there's the mother, and then there's sisters, and we have our sisterhood. So we were trying to also, as we were connecting with Mother, it was also we were wanting to maintain, okay, but what is our relationship and our connection between Kaylee and Kelsey and this sisterhood? So perhaps an opportunity for people to reflect on their connection and relationship with other humans too, which is also very significant.
Yes, I love that. I love that there's the nature element, of course, but I like that you brought in, yes, there is a very important human element to this too. Um, that's gorgeous. That's so beautiful. I love that. Okay, so how did you proceed with the choreography for this?
The choreography, Kelsey and I were talking earlier that like we didn't reserve studio space ever. Like we did everything in nature and in parks. Like so all of the choreography was really inspired by nature.
Yeah, I think that this was one of the actually more site specific, true to form pieces, because most of them they're rehearsing in a studio and then they'll go the day of to their space, but you guys actually created this in the space.
Yeah, so our rehearsals, the majority were definitely at that park, which makes sense because we felt like we needed to be in the location of where it was being filmed. Obviously, with a lot of the choreography actually dancing with a tree, okay, you need that tree. And what is this tree? What is the shape of the tree? What is the size of the tree? So that was very necessary to rehearse and come up with the choreography on site. There were a couple of times since Live Oak Park or Crystal Beach is just a few minutes away from my house, but it's definitely a further commute for Kaylee. There were a couple of instances where we were like, well, okay, let's meet at a park that's near Kaylee's house today. And it was for rehearsal that we knew like, okay, we don't necessarily need to work with a specific tree today. But we still want to be outside barefoot in the grass, have the breeze blowing through our hair, feeling the warmth of the sun. We also forgot to share that we started to structure the inspiration for the choreography, or started to structure the choreography by the elements.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, okay, so this choreography is sun inspired, or light or fire inspired. This one is water inspired,
Mm-hmm.
air, earth. So I think when we met at the park near Kaylee's house, it was like, okay, cool. So this will be, let's work on air today. Okay, cool. It's air. There's definitely a breeze today. We can meet anywhere where we're outside and there's a breeze. So that was definitely a pleasure. To every rehearsal, it was like, okay, we're going to spend some time outside today. We're going to choreograph and play outside essentially, and just enjoy it. And yeah, that's where we choreographed and rehearsed. And I was gonna say, because I was forgetting, I was like, what am I trying to say with this? We lucked out with every single rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Being outside, every single one, we lucked out with the weather. We lucked
every
out
time.
Even so much so that it was like, right after we were finished rehearsing, it would start to rain. And it's like, okay,
Oh, wow.
if this rain happened an hour earlier, we would kind of be screwed. And then it just kept happening. Like, we had clear days.
Mm-hmm.
Really, Mother was there for us and
Mm-hmm.
didn't interfere with the time that we had. So
Yeah, so that was going to be one of my questions, because having rehearsals outside in the Florida heat and the unpredictable rain and weather, I'm happy to hear that was on your side.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
So what was the relationship like working with each other? Had you worked with each other before on a project like this? Or, so did you fall into it? Like, how did that go?
This is like our first and so far only collaboration so far,
Mm-hmm.
which, saying that out loud right now, I'm having a hard time believing, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is our first and only so far.
Yeah, and I would say, like, it felt so natural and seamless. Like, I feel like we were always on the same page about everything. Like, whenever one of us would have an idea, like, the other one was so on board, and I feel like it just flowed really well. Like, one of the most harmonious, like, collaboration experiences I've had.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just made us so close, like, as friends too, like, just the way we can adapt and mesh together and create something.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what was the film technical aspect of it like?
I think you're laughing because I'm thinking of the same thing. So there were, when we were in the process, it was like, every time we would meet, everything was conceptual. It was like, oh, I have this concept. I have this idea. Okay, Kaylee has this concept. And we just kept doing, like, piling concept and ideas over concept and ideas. And we were rolling with it and creating something. But when it started to get down to the wire of, like, okay, now we're solidifying the sound score. Now we're solidifying the storyboard. Now we're solidifying, which is great why you have those deadlines, Amanda. Like, for people like Kaylee and I, those deadlines are golden, because those are what her and I rely on. Like, okay, Amanda said we need to get this done by this date. So now we have to, because yeah. So you know what you're doing. So anyway, when it came down to solidifying, and Kaylee and I are still, like, struggling with, like, well, do we really want to set that in stone? Do we really want to set this in stone? We would always come to the conclusion by saying, we'll figure it out during editing. And so that was like our coin term, and it started to really become a joke, because I would start thinking about something, and Kaylee's like, we'll figure it out during editing. And then Kaylee will start thinking about something and trying to set something, and I'm like, we'll figure it out during editing. So like technicality wise, like, just so you know, the majority of the decisions that we made to create a final product was figured out during editing.
So I'm curious because you guys had a shot list, and it was a really long film day. It was a very long day. So once you guys got to the editing space, what was that like? Like, was it what you expected? Was it not what you expected?
I don't know. Were we overwhelmed with how much we had or no? Was that a thing?
Well, I knew we had a lot of material because, like you said, film day was long. We filmed a lot. We had a lot of material to work with. I would say that was more encouraging for me. I was like, well, look at all this material we have. Like, we're going to create something amazing with all of this material we have. So I think for me, that was a little bit more encouraging rather than the opposite, which would be like, oh gosh, we barely have any material to work with, you know?
Yeah, I think I was overwhelmed with the material, but Kelsey was awesome and took it upon herself to look through everything and pick out the best shots of everything. So she let that stress kind of went away. But I remember like there was a couple shots that I was so heartbroken of like having to let go of. Like there was this squirrel running up a tree that I was so sad. I was so attached to that squirrel, but it was just too grainy and blurry, and yeah, it was really heartbreaking for me. That's one of the main things I remember in the editing process. And there was this green bench in some of the shots that we would crop it and it would get out of the way, and then Kelsey would still find it. She'd be like, wait, that green bench is still there.
Yeah, it came into the frame for like a half a second. I need that green bench out of there.
So that was also like a joke during editing of like, the green bench, like, why is the green bench there? Yeah, and then there's also like, not so much like film editing, but like the music editing. That was the first time like we had created music like in a software that was for music. So that was a whole experience too. That was really like time consuming and like intricate, like very detailed. Like you have to make sure that it loops correctly and it sounds good, like
it's on the same tempo consistently. Yeah,
and we recorded like pretty long like music clips, so it wasn't always like the perfect beat, you know. There's humanness in the recordings,
like human error.
Which is part of the beautiful side of it, but also like made the editing side of it like, oh wait, but the lyrics don't match up anymore with the drum beat.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Kaylee. Not only were we editing the film, but the music editing was it was our first attempt, and that was pretty time consuming. Trying to get that down as professionally as we could, with this being our first and only attempt so far. So just so you know, like, now that I'm reflecting on it, when in the editing process, because we were doing this, we were editing like within our busy schedules. I work full time and own my own business. Kaylee is finishing school, and we're like, okay, we have to find time to like do all this editing and do it together. So that was also cool, is like through the whole editing process, like we were side by side doing it together. She lives in St. Pete. I live in Dunedin. Okay, we're like 45 minutes away from each other. So we weren't even meeting physically, sitting at a computer together. We were Zooming. So like Kaylee was the mastermind with her fingertips, like physically doing the editing. I'm on Zoom she's got the Zoom camera like set up on her screen so that I can see the screen and what she's doing. And I'm like the annoying
the green bench.
Yeah, I'm like the annoying person on her shoulder, like, Kaylee, what was that? Rewind that. There was, and we would edit for like a string of 8 to 10 hours most times. So when we were meeting to edit, it would be a minimum of 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours, just editing and getting in the zone and getting it done.
Yeah.
I knew the editing was going to be a long process because, like I said, we were joking the whole time, like, we'll figure such and such out during editing. We'll figure this out. So we were figuring out a lot. And I also had a lot of fun, though.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, editing was really fun. I mean, the whole part was fun.
Except the squirrel.
Choreographing, filming, editing. Yeah.
Well, Kaylee, you touched on something because this is something I am very indecisive when it comes to things. It's hard for me to let go of things too. So I really feel your pain on that. I feel like my life is wrapped up in tragedy because every day that I'm editing, I'm having to go through this process of elimination of things that I don't want to get rid of either. But for the good of the whole project, I know that it's probably best that I not make this 20 minutes long. So I feel your pain on that.
Thank you for the empathy.
What do you think was some of the biggest challenges for you guys through this process?
Well, I kind of already said it, but that's what comes to my mind initially when I think of challenges, because there weren't many. Because I completely agree with Kaylee in that this whole process has been super fun. Everything has just come very natural. The way that we work together is incredible, with like loving each other's ideas, listening to each other's ideas. We also collaborated like very evenly. Like, I feel like this was very much a 50-50 collaboration. Like, we both were bringing things to the table equally. So as far as like a challenge, the only thing that comes to mind right now is like setting things in stone. So we would show up to rehearsal and be like, well, Amanda said she needs a sound score, right? So we need to freaking get the sound score solid today. Oh, she needs the storyboard, or what is I keep forgetting the name of it. What's the other thing? Not the story. Oh, the shot list. Yeah. She needs the shot list. So like, we need to set that in stone. So I would say like deadlines of like solidifying things instead of just being like conceptual about. So that's the only challenge I can think of so far. So those deadlines are golden. And that's and thank you for that, because that's literally what made this project possible. And to have a final product is like saying, you got to get this piece done before you can move on to the next piece. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad those helped. I mean, and those are there for everybody's benefit, those deadlines. So yeah, thank you for being on top of that.
Yeah.
So how did you guys get involved with CFCC in the first place?
I received an email about a improv jam experience for the previous season. After I had seen like a handful of my friends being involved in this CFCC, I'm like, ooh, what is that? Like, And then I saw the improv experience and I was like, ooh, that looks fun. And it was all about play, which I'm all about. And I'm like, I gotta go.
Perfect for you.
Yeah. So I ended up going and had a wonderful experience. I loved working with you, Amanda. Like, great first impression. And yeah, I saw the next season roll around and I'm like, ooh, I want to be involved. I want to create something. And then I was like, but I want to create something with someone. And I was like, Kelsey, will you come collaborate with me? And yeah, that's how we got involved.
That's awesome. Well, I'm It's been a blast working with you too, Kaylee, and you, Kelsey, as well. It's been truly awesome. So, what is next for you guys?
What is next for me? Currently, I am going to massage therapy school.
Wow.
So I'm going to become a licensed massage therapist. School is like almost a year long. So it's going to be a journey, a new venture, but very, very related to dance, in my opinion, which is how I feel like I got drawn to it. So yeah, massage therapy school is what is next for me.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, and I am finishing up my last year at USF. So graduation is on the horizon, and I'm looking forward to that. And then after school, I don't know exactly what's next, but I see some travel in the near future. Um, Definitely getting my hands in the dirt more, connecting with nature, and seeing some gardening in my future and maybe working on some farms. Been getting more interested in herbalism as well, so I don't know where life will take me, but I'll dance my way there, I'm sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, how can people find you?
Well, I am on the interwebs. I have I have an Instagram account. I have a personal account, which I'm more active on. It is _ Kaylee Shay. And then I also have a Dancy account that I'm less active on, but may be more active on in the future. It is Kaylee Shay _11. I'm also on Facebook, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook. It's not necessarily a dance account, but my personal account. And honestly, I don't ever post anything on Facebook unless it's dance related. So I guess it is like my unofficial dance account. But yeah, Kelsey Keil on Facebook. That's where you can find me. And yeah, I basically use Facebook to connect and network with other dancers. I would say the majority of my friends on Facebook are dancers that I've met at different festivals and workshops from all around the world. So, yeah, find me on Facebook and we can dance together in this small world of dance where we're all connected.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having both of you guys with us this season and talking with you about your project and what's next and where you're going from here. So I thank you so much and I'll let you go.
Many thanks, Amanda. You're amazing.
Aw, thank you. That was Kaylee Davis and Kelsey Keil-Fuchs, Season 3 Choreographers with Central Florida Choreographers collaboration. You can see Kaylee and Kelsey's project along with dozens of other films in ChoreoCollab Film Fest 2022. ChoreoCollab Film Fest 2022 is screening online until November 20th exclusively at ChoreoCollab.com. We hope you'll join us next time. Keep creating, friends.